Alright guys, so I want to do a follow-up to yesterday's video about Fortnite setting age restrictions and content ratings in their game, because that video was basically just my off-the-cuff first reaction to it. I didn't really get to articulate all my thoughts and opinions on this and really explain why it is that this change is easily one of the worst changes that Fortnite has ever introduced. So that's kind of what I want to do here in this video, is to just explain why it is that this is a huge mistake and that this needs to be reverted immediately. So basically, if you guys don't know, yesterday's update, Fortnite has introduced voice reporting and content ratings. Now the website explains how voice reporting works. It reads, when voice reporting is on, the last 5 minutes of voice chat audio are captured on a rolling basis. This means only the immediate last 5 minutes of audio is reportable. As new audio is captured, any previous audio that's more than 5 minutes old is automatically deleted. Voice chat audio is securely captured on your device, for example, your gaming console or PC, not the Epic Games servers. If you report a conversation, the voice chat audio captured for the last 5 minutes will be uploaded with the report and sent to Epic moderators for review. You can see if voice reporting is currently on or off in the sidebar. Note, Epic has no way of accessing any voice that audio uses unless voice reporting is on and a participant submits a voice report. Audio clips submitted to Epic for review will be auto-deleted after 14 days or the duration of a sanction, whichever is longer. In the event of an appeal, retention may be extended for up to 14 days so the sanction decision can be reviewed. If Epic needs to retain an audio clip to comply with legal obligations, it will be retained for as long as legally required. So basically, they're giving us the option to report voice chats. So I don't know, if you're arguing with somebody on the game and they call you a mean word, and then they'll review the audio and they feel like it goes against their, guidelines or whatever, breaks their rules, then they'll probably take action against the person. Now it also reads for players under 18. Voice reporting is always on for voice chats that include players under 18. If you're under 18 and do not wish to have your voice chat audio captured, you can mute yourself or turn voice chat off entirely by selecting off in your voice chat settings. If you're a parent, you can manage your child's voice chat permissions by logging into the Epic account portal using Epic's existing parental controls. If you're 18 or over, you can customize your voice reporting preferences in the main Fortnite settings. After selecting always on, voice reporting will be on in every channel you're in. After selecting off when possible, voice reporting will be off in parties formed among friends where all players have voice reporting off when possible. Voice reporting will be on if party channels include one or more players with voice reporting set to always on or a player added through looking for party. The off when possible option applies to party channels only. Voice reporting will always be on in all game channels, which are channels that connect players on the same team but in different parties. So just to summarize here, if you're under 18, the voice reporting option will always be on, and you can simply turn off voice chat if you do not want to speak to anybody, and the parent of the account can manage these settings in the parental controls whenever they want to. And if you're over 18, you can customize these settings however you so choose. Now here's the thing, this doesn't sound bad at all. I don't have a problem with any of this. So then why am I going over this? Well, it's to highlight the difference between how they're handling the voice reporting and how they're handling the content ratings. The difference being is that they're giving players agency. They're letting you customize how it is that you want to operate the voice chat system. They're having this feature be optional for players. But when it comes to the content rating, that isn't optional. Basically what Fortnite has done with the content ratings is that they have now put age ratings on each and every single mode in the game. So your battle royale modes, solos, duos, squads, zero build, team rumble, anything like that. Those are now rated T for teen. And like creative match, let's say, like only up or something. That's now rated E for everyone. So they pretty much have gone through and put age ratings on each map based on how violent they are, I guess. If it's just a fun, adventure parkour map or some kind of racing map, then it's going to get the E or E10 rating. However, if a map has any kind of violence in it, or if it has, gunplay, shooting, anything like that, it gets the teen rating. Now here's the problem with this. This doesn't only apply to the maps. It applies also to your cosmetics. So if you select the map that's rated E or E10 plus, certain cosmetics that you have in your locker will be unusable in those maps. Why? Well, because going by this new rating system, if you're playing on an E-rated map, and if you pick a character that has, a gun on their hip, a gun holster, or if they have weapons or ammunition attached to them, then that character is seen as too mature for the selected map. It is not exclusive to just skins either. This applies to everything. It applies to backblades, it applies to pickaxes, it applies to your Contra, your glider, it applies to emotes, it even applies to music packs and loading screens. So if you go into one of these maps with any of these restricted items, so for example, you want to go into an E-rated map as the Peely skin. When you play that map, it's going to replace your character with the default. Now, this change has been extremely controversial, and virtually no one is on board with this because it's just stupid and unnecessary. Like, who the fuck asked for this? Like, I can't think of a single person in the world who thought that these Fortnite characters, some of them just look too inappropriate or too mature for young audiences. It just doesn't make any sense. And what makes it worse is that this is something that is not optional. Unlike the voice reporting, which is completely optional, this isn't. So pretty much everyone is forced to abide by these changes. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know how it is they thought that this would be a good idea. To basically restrict players from being able to use items that they have purchased with their money and not let them be able to use it on whatever map they want. As I said in yesterday's video, we are customers, and as a customer, we should be able to use whatever we want on whatever mode we want to play. Now, I know there's a couple people that are saying, well, it's just for creative. It's not a big deal. This isn't going to affect most people. Most people just play Battle Royale, so it doesn't really matter. But the point is that this shouldn't even be necessary. Is that you don't need to have these restrictions in the first place because the game is rated T for teen. Fortnite is a T-rated game. So why are you setting ratings for each map as if they're their own game? Their own separate game, and making it to where characters who happen to have weapons or ammunition attached to them, they can't be used in those E-rated maps? But again, the game's overall rating is T for teen, and it's a third-person shooter. Like, that is the issue. Like, this is a T-rated game, and the core element of the game is the gunplay, but then you're disabling items that happen to have guns in it. It just doesn't make any sense. That's cognitive dissonance. The problem with it as well is that it's not even consistent across the board. As many people pointed out in yesterday's video, a skin like Agent Peely is age-restricted from E-rated maps, but then you can use Michael Myers. You can use the Michael Myers skin in an E-rated map. You know Michael Myers, the iconic slasher, literally known for being evil incarnate. You know, the guy who comes back every Halloween and murders people. You know, the guy that comes from mature media, you know, a rated R movie, which, you know, is something that a 10-year-old legally can't go see in the theaters without parental guidance. You know, Michael Myers for kids, right? But the inconsistencies just go on and on. Because if skins are supposed to be restricted for having guns and weapons on them, then why is a skin like Victoria's Saint not restricted? What about some of the Star Wars skins? What about a skin like Safari or Ruby? Even some of the gliders don't make sense. Like, Doomslayer's glider is some grotesque, demonic, monster-looking creature, and that's not suitable for an E10 rated map. But then Doomslayer himself can be used in those maps, even though he comes from the same franchise. So again, like, on top of it just being completely unnecessary, it's not even consistent at all. Characters that should be restricted aren't, and characters that shouldn't be restricted are. And I know someone out there might say, well, then just don't use the skin then, bro. Just don't use that item. If it's restricted, just don't use it. Or someone else will say, oh, well, just don't play the map then. It's not that big of a deal. Just don't play the E-rated map. And people don't realize when you say stuff like that, like, you're actually doing more harm than good. Like, it's actually not helpful to say things like that. While you're technically not wrong for saying that, I think it's also lacking a bit of perspective here. Because what people don't realize is that with these E10 rated maps, if players are restricted from being able to use some of their favorite skins because they happen to have a weapon or something on them, all that's going to do is disincentivize players from ever playing these maps. Because people don't want to feel limited. They don't want to feel restricted. They don't want to feel censored. So if they see that a map is rated E or E10, what's going to happen is that they're not going to want to play it at all. Someone's going to go like, oh, that map is rated E. I can't use my favorite skin on that map. I'm not going to play it. So it's going to be a detriment for, you know, creators who create these maps, because less people are going to play their maps because Epic decided to label it as E for everyone, and therefore those maps are going to get less traction. So when you tell somebody, oh, just don't play the map, bro. Just don't play the map. Again, all it does is hurt the people who create these maps because you're telling people not to play it, which means it's going to get less overall support from the community. And it's so counterintuitive because the reason why they're doing this change in the first place is because I think Epic wants this game to be not just a battle royale game. I mean, they've been going this direction for a while now. They're trying to push this game to be more like a platform. They want it to be a metaverse. They want it to be like a hub, like a central hub, like a platform, like almost like a social media almost. And they want it to be a place where like literally everybody from every demographic, from every age group, they want it to be accessible for all ages, for every single person on the planet. And so this is their way of trying to appeal to every single age group, every single demographic. But again, it's like, this is just unnecessary because Fortnite for the past 6 years has already been very accessible. It's already been very appealing to every age demographic. Young kids have been playing this game for years. So why this? Why do this now? I'd be hard pressed to find anybody out there that genuinely thought that some of these skins were too mature for kids. Like again, Agent Peely. What is so bad about Agent Peely? He literally just has a fucking gun on his leg. No kid is going to freak out when they see Agent Peely in the lobby, bro. This is just a prime example of what happens when you try to please everybody. You end up pleasing no one. Because like what, maybe like 2 or 3 wine moms out there complained about Fortnite being too violent or too mature for children. And so now they're doing this. But again, like I said, it's kind of counterintuitive because you want more and more people to play the game. But then when you put age ratings on certain maps, all it's going to do is disincentivize people from playing the E-rated maps because they don't want to feel restricted. And so the E-rated maps are going to die off. Less people are going to play those maps. And more people are just going to stick to, you know, the PvP T-rated map. The reality is that not everything has to be made for everybody. There are just some things that not everybody is going to find appealing. Whether it's a video game, whether it's a TV show, movie, book, whatever type of medium it is, there are some things that are just not meant for everyone. There are some things that are just intended for a specific group of people. So you do not have to try this hard to try to be all-encompassing, all-inclusive for every single person that walks on the fucking planet. So overall, it's just a dumb decision, and there's so many simple solutions to remedy this. I mean, one is just not do this at all. That's the obvious thing. But if they want to go down this route, then all they have to do is just make this feature optional. Have this be a setting that players can choose. Like, hey, do you want to set age restrictions on your account? The parental controls are already there. Just add an option that says, hey, do you want to set age restrictions on your child's account? Why put these restrictions on literally the entire player base? Why punish the entire community in order to accommodate the lowest common denominator, the smallest demographic of people? Like, most players who play Fortnite are older than 10. So it literally makes no sense to do this. Imagine if a game like Call of Duty started putting age ratings on some of their content, where some modes are rated M for mature, and then others are rated T, and then others are rated E for everyone. And then they start censoring certain skins, they start censoring certain items, they start removing blood and gore and bad language. People would hate that. Because the thing with Call of Duty is that the target demographic is 17 and up. But we all know that not everyone who plays Call of Duty is 17 or older. We all know there's kids who are technically not supposed to be playing these games that are playing these games. And that's just the reality. There are tons of people younger than 17 playing Call of Duty. That's just the reality. But that doesn't mean that Call of Duty should start downgrading itself and start pandering and catering to the youngest demographic. That doesn't mean that Call of Duty should now no longer be in for mature, because the younger unintended audience is not the core demographic. And the same applies to Fortnite. The core demographic of Fortnite is not kids that are younger than 10. So trying to pander and accommodate the youngest demographic of players, it's just really stupid and nonsensical. And Fortnite itself is not even that violent of a game. It's rated T for teen because it pretty much has to be rated T because there's guns in it. But the violence in the game is cartoon violence. Like, I would describe the violence in Fortnite akin to that of a Pixar movie, like a Disney Pixar movie. Something like The Incredibles, for example. The Incredibles movie is enjoyed by pretty much everybody of all ages, including young kids. And that movie was PG. That movie had guns in it. It had explosions. It had death. I mean, shoot. I'd argue that the violence in The Incredibles is even more graphic and more brutal and more mature than it is in Fortnite. But again, that's a movie, that's a franchise that's enjoyed by tons of kids. No kid is traumatized or scared of The Incredibles. So why would we assume that kids are scared of a Fortnite skin or traumatized about a Fortnite skin because they have grenades and ammunition on their waist straps or something? Like, it's just dumb. It's just silly. Since again, like, these are items that Epic has sold to us. They created these items. They created these cosmetics. They sold them to us, and we purchased them willingly. And now they're saying we can't use them anymore on a death run because, you're using a character with a gun strapped on them. When again, the game is all about guns. Like, the Fortnite has been around since 2017. It's one of the biggest games of all time. And at one point, it was the biggest game of all time. Pretty much everybody knows what it is. Like, it's part of the culture now. It has left a lasting impact on pop culture. Everyone knows what the core game is about, and it's about shooting. It's about building. So trying to do a 180 and trying to rebrand this game as some kind of, Roblox 2.0, it's just jarring to me, and it's jarring to other people as well. This game shouldn't try to be a Roblox 2.0. It doesn't have to try to be this metaverse conglomerate. Fortnite can still just be Fortnite. It can be the game that everybody fell in love with and recognize it as, which is a third-person shooter. It was fine just the way it was, which is why this change is a huge mistake, and they need to revert it back to what it was, man. And if this does stick around, just make it an option for players. Do not force feed this down everyone's throats. It is not the job of Epic Games to be the parents of young children. And that's the problem we're seeing. We're seeing all these big companies, they're trying to play the role of parent when that's not their job. Their job is to be a video game company. If a game is too violent or too mature for kids, it is what it is. It should be up to the parents to monitor what it is that kids should or shouldn't be playing. And when I was a kid growing up, I wasn't even really allowed to play T-rated games until I was like 10, 11. And I certainly wasn't allowed to play M-rated games until my parents thought I was old enough to handle it. And unfortunately, that's just not something that parents do anymore, man. They don't monitor the kids at all. They let the kids just do whatever they want on the internet. They pretty much let the internet raise the kids for them. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. But yeah, just all in all, this is a stupid change. I mean, it's already backfiring. Pretty much literally like 99.999% of people hate this change. Some people are saying that they're going to stop supporting the game financially. Some big YouTubers, big creators are saying they're not going to support the game anymore if this sticks. Which I think is fair, honestly. Like, this just seems like a slap in the face to everyone who supports this game. So yeah, Epic, listen to the fans. The community has spoken. Change this back to what it was. Or at the very least, just make this an option for us. So that pretty much wraps up everything I got to say about this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.